who actually are pretty well off. These guys come from, Jacob's coming from a good family. We know he's a diviner because he says it. He's obviously an idol worshiper because we know they get taken. And probably pretty obvious pretty soon that he's kind of a schemer,
Sure.
Yeah. Kind of.
But, okay, now, not that we need to be, but in all fairness to Laban, was there any good in him? I mean, do we see anything reasonable in his scheming? Surely.
Well, at least he did hear God and wouldn't do harm to Jacob.
Yeah, he hated God's word.
Right, well, okay, yeah, later on, yeah. Yeah, because,
I'm sorry.
yeah, when your God, and he says, when your father's God spoke to me, still it's his father's God, it's not even Jacob's God. It says, when your father's God spoke to me, he told me this, and so you're lucky. Because, yeah, I think you're right. I think he probably wouldn't have been nice,
No,
you know?
he didn't want to be. He said he didn't want to that.
Anything else? Any other reasons why what we know transpires? Is there anything anything in Laban that we can see? I mean, you don't think you could see a concerned father?
No, not really.
No, that I want the best for my daughters?
No.
Not at all, huh? Okay.
Not really.
Okay.
Maybe toward Leah.
Well, I'm wondering if there's anything in the beginning, okay, so what do you think, if you will, kind of at this point, without everything that we know, what's Laban's game plan? I mean, what's he going after? Does he want all his wealth?
Yes, sure.
Okay, okay.
I
So-
think when he heard that Jacob was in town, he was thinking, Abraham's money.
Let me come here and let me kiss you. Brother, blood of my blood, bone of my bone, almost.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, I think.
And he does actually use that term.
Sure,
Yeah.
you are my bone and my flesh.
Right, right.
But I think that's why the daughters got upset, because they realized their father had sold them to
Well,
Jacob.
they say that,
Yeah.
they say that in the end.
Our father sold us to him.
Right, well, and especially when you bring in the element of the dowry, I mean, the idea behind that, the way I understand it, was that was a bride price that was paid so that if something happened to the man, the wife had something to go back to and had some sort of sustenance, something to, and the father held it?
Yes.
Okay, so it was supposed to be held. And that's why they make the point of saying, and he sold it, and he spent it all.
Yeah.
So we have nothing to go back to. So let's get started here. Here's the producer. This woman did good, really. And it's funny, sometimes the dramatized little renditions that we're hearing are the British accent that we got again today.
I thought Laban was a Syrian, not an Irish.
Well, it's a kind of northwestern Syria, way up there. But honestly, I have to say, I thought the woman that they had being lead was perfect. She sounded like this really comely, homely, kind of like, well, surely now he'll, I think she portrayed it well. Is my point. That you could hear that sense of longing, that desire to be loved, very simply. And, of course, she knows she was thrown in a position. Her father set this up, I don't know if he was looking for a double dowry, because obviously we knew he wanted the wealth. But also the progression is very interesting, because we see the first 4 sons. Reuben, the first, son of my affliction. Obviously, she feels wronged in a lot of ways. you know, heaven forbid there was somebody else in the village that she actually liked. Didn't get a choice on that. Would never get a choice on that. Now, but she knows how important children are, so Simeon comes along and the Lord has heard. Surely the Lord has heard. Go.
Well, she may have had a choice if Jacob hadn't been like us and so attracted to beauty. You know,
Well-
he was more attracted to the
It was
beauty
flesh.
Yeah.
of the flesh than he was to this woman who was gonna bear him 6 sons.
Right?
We
And,
did know that
and was
at the
probably
time.
gonna be very faithful, very caring. I mean, and very, take care of Jacob, you know? I don't know that we necessarily get that, but, you know, you can maybe
Because
stretch
isn't
it.
it interesting that Leah is not the one that stole the idols, but Rachel
Oh.
did?
Right.
Yeah,
That's why Rachel died on the side of
You
the
know,
road.
and I mean, you don't you find that would be
well,
kind of interesting there, that
She wasn't
here's the
chosen
one
by
that
God
Jacob
anyways.
loved, and
She wasn't chosen for the tribes.
She was
well,
one.
I mean, there's elements of truth in all of that, you know, I mean, along with what you said, well, in fact, Leah is actually buried in the tomb with Jacob, you know? I mean, so she is honored and exalted in her position. But, and it's not unlike what we've seen before, where for some reason, we're not always the best choosers or whatever. I mean, you know, look at Isaac. Come here, Esau, go out and get me something. I got a blessing. You need to come back for this blessing, because it's gonna be a good one. Just come on back, but give me something to eat first. You know, while you're up. You know? I mean, obviously, I don't know, God not talking to him?
I don't think he asked.
Yeah, I don't think he was, you know, he wasn't, either he wasn't paying attention, or he had already made his mind up.
He didn't say, well, you know, like the servant, if this is the right woman, show me a sign.
Absolutely
He
right,
just
which,
said, I want
which-
her.
you know, I think I think it's important to make a distinction, because again, we've seen it, and we'll see it again later today. A distinction between testing God and asking him for a sign. I don't think they're exactly the same thing. They could be sometimes misconstrued, or they could be close to the same thing, but I think they're different. I think there's an
What you're not
intrinsic.
supposed to do.
Well, exactly my point, except in one place. Only in, and as far as bringing into the storehouse, he says, test me on this. He does say that in one place.
Isn't it interesting how kids of today, and, you know, all the girls would want to be, hearing this story, most all the girls would want to be Rachel. They would, because he loved her. They wouldn't want to be Leah, no matter how much honor was going to go with that.
Yeah.
They would most likely want to be the beautiful one, the loved one.
And I don't think that's too out of bounds. I think he put that in us.
Well, I think also it'd be up to us to teach our children that they're going to be probably better off being Leah, because they'll be blessed,
Well,
you know?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm quite there. I mean, I think we see it, you know, that part of the problem with this is that we're dealing with something that isn't, we're dealing with multiple wives, period. So we're talking about a situation that shouldn't be a situation, if you will. I mean, at this,
Jacob should have said, no, you already gave me a wife, I can't take another wife.
Right.
which wasn't the custom at the time, so I mean, I guess in a sense, I wouldn't expect him to have made that choice unless
It's
God had
because
told him.
where he was. When Isaac never took another wife that we know of. But he goes back to his father's, or Abraham's land, and he's, where are these people? Well, that's the custom.
Mhm. Yeah,
They do.
Well,
So he does
or-
it.
I guess, you know, also, you could say, it's the custom, but it's not mine. I worked for her, she's gonna be my wife, I'll pay you. Don't we have that somewhere else? Where a woman is defiled and then a price is paid to give her back, not Abimelech?
Well,
With
this
Sarah?
This isn't all.
He doesn't defile her though. But he does pay just for the thought that she, there could be somebody else could have thought, oh yeah, she was with the king. No, just for the possible disgrace that was put on her, he paid a price.
Yeah, but this isn't all Laban's fault. I mean, Jacob made some mistakes there too. I think he probably was a little under the influence.
Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, please, let's not get into the idea of how, we've already seen, I guess, the level of they have stuff they don't make today,
Yeah.
back then, because, when Lot sleeps with his two daughter, or they sleep with him or whatever, yeah, there are a lot of things that aren't quite,
I think we get into that also further on when we start talking about the mandrakes.
yeah. Did you, okay, will you be prepared, or are you prepared to talk about mandrake?
Not as much as probably Candace is,
Oh, well,
because
then-
everything I know about it, she showed me.
That's perfect, no, that's perfect, no, I'm looking forward to it, because I did not actually,
Although in my past, I did partake in some mandrakes, but I did not inhale.
right, check.
It's not what's in the beginning, like.
You took the biblical mandrakes, right? Yeah, right, okay. But no, when we get to that, I definitely want you to cover that, because it was something that I think is really significant.
Interesting and.
Yeah, it's significant and interesting. Okay, let's, Levi be joined. I think what's interesting is you actually see this progression in her personality, in her realization of her situation, as she goes through her children and names them. Surely now, or Simeon is born. The Lord has heard my cries and my pleas, so now my husband will love me. Levi, now 3 sons now will be joined together because of this. Finally, she understands and goes, God be praised with Judah. This is not about me and what I need, and me and is going to come to me.
But I think that she messes